Hi guys, good morning, 12th of April, very early morning in Europe. Happy Easter, happy holiday season. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Piotr here, the Slide Forex Global YouTube channel, and it's time to make the crypto market update. So, hopefully you are doing well, wherever you are, guys. Unfortunately, I don't have a great news when it comes to the crypto bulls. Well, let's start with the Bitcoin. Let's start with the weekly chart. And what is important, if you remember my colors, right? And the red dotted line here is the yearly open, right? Red color represents monthly, blue color represents weekly. Anyway, what is important that we have another rejection when it comes to the yearly open, right? So after this huge monster sell-off we've seen, right, we were trying to recover. We've seen attempt to break this, let's say something close, but it's not the top, but the resistance level over here, some kind of the supply, right? So week ago we hit yearly open. This week we even tried to move above, right? But the weekly supply stopped us here for now. So from the weekly chart perspective, it doesn't look good, right? So let's switch to the daily for a second. Let's have a look what we have here. And here it doesn't look good as well. It might be some kind of the bear flag creation after the monster move to the downside, right? So it could end up with the continuation to the downside. So here, in my opinion, another weekly level close to 6,500 is going to be very, very important. Market is weak, guys. Market is weak, guys, and even when you are watching this daily, right, we even haven't seen retest of the drop base drop, right? What I'm talking about here is drop base drop, and we with this bear flag, right, we haven't seen retest of this base. Let's get back for a second into the weekly chart, because I think the early days of the next week are gonna tell us the story, right? What I'm talking about is the combination of this week high, previous week high, right? So looks like we might, from the bear's perspective, we might try to create swing high, right, with that direction of the next candle. That would be, well, that would be horrible. That would be horrible. That would translate into the test of even levels below 6,000, right? On a daily, remember, we have 6,500, but if that's gonna be the case, if we are going to build the swing high on the weekly, that's not gonna look good, and the levels much lower might be taken into the consideration, meaning that once we are back into the daily chart here, right, it might be I'm sorry, it might be break of that flag and continuation lower. All right, so the 5,800 could be the next target, right? if that's gonna be broken, the next downside target might be around 5,000. All right, and then those lower shadows. So I've been quite positive, but last 2-3 days making me a bit nervous, and I'm a little bit more towards neutral stance when it comes to Bitcoin. All right, there is a little bit of the change. There is a little bit of the change when it comes to the Ethereum, right? I've been previously, when we record our previous episode, I've been more negative towards Ethereum than Bitcoin, right? We have some flip lately, okay? Of course, the situation is not great here as well, right? It's not great as well. Let me make some cleanings. First thing first, from the weekly chart perspective, we have some kind of the supply. Just 1 second, guys. All right, that's gonna be better. We have some kind of the supply when it comes to the weekly chart. Here, the next supply towards 185, 195. That's what we discussed previously as well. All right, weekly meaning blue color. Okay, now also very similar to what we've seen on the Bitcoin, there was a problem to retest some significant levels, and we are building the upper shadow on the weekly chart. We are building the upper shadow on the weekly chart. The difference here on the Ethereum and the Bitcoin is that as of now, when it comes to the weekly close, we still got the chance to close above previous week high. We still got the chance to close above previous week high. If that's gonna be the case, the previous weekly high is gonna be the first support. So overall, when it comes to the Ethereum, 150 is a key. We have some bounce when it comes to the Ethereum versus Bitcoin from the 002 level. That's also a positive thing. So looks like we've got a little bit of the flip. The same when it comes to my feeling. As I mentioned, I'm switching towards neutral when it comes to Bitcoin, and I'm flipping from a little bit of the negative and neutral to a bit bullish when it comes to the Ethereum. Of course, to fully switch to the bullish stance, we have to move higher, we have to close and hold above 190, 195 would be great to close, to cross the psychological 200 level. Is it possible? Well, of course it is. Now, talking to the daily chart for a second, all right? So, if you remember, that's quite old story, the break of that falling channel, right? The monster sell-off, we hit the bottom of that channel, some reversal here, all right? Then some kind of the consolidation move higher. So, overall, I truly believe 150 is a key, but cannot rule it out that we are going to see some kind of the spike to the downside to retest the break out of that consolidation. That would translate into 135, 130, but from the weekly perspective, that could be some kind of the lower shadow, but we need the weekly close again above 150, 155. We have to hold when it comes to the daily and weekly close above that particular level. and then we have to cross and close above 190, 200. That's how I see the things when it comes to the Ethereum. Getting a little bit lower to 4-hour chart, right? As you can see, the 4-hour chart, we have some kind of the supply over here, and is in a relation to what we have when it comes to the weekly, right? So that's why this particular level 185, 195, but overall the psychological 200 is so important. So the bears are trying to push the bulls into the corner when it comes into the whole crypto space, right? With the very important things going on towards the end of the week and beginning of the next week. There is a possibility of the swing high creation when it comes to the weekly chart on the Bitcoin. That's what we are going to get the answer next week, okay? And there is some kind of the flipping, meaning that Ether or Ethereum looks a little bit better than Bitcoin right now. Guys, don't be trapped. I think that the conservative traders, investors should stay flat for now. If you are aggressive, then watch, and aggressive to the upside, watch Ether. If you are bearish, watch the bear flag on a Bitcoin on a daily chart. Guys, it was my pleasure to make the update for you. Have a good Sunday again. Happy holiday season and happy Easter from Europe. Take care and goodbye.